A lot's happened since yesterday!
My friends, welcome to a brand new episode of A Lot's Happened Since Yesterday. My name is Cody Walker.
My name is Ralph Busso, and today we have a special guest with us, Oligarchy Withers. I think I said that right. Oligarchy Withers.
Right.
Okay.
You did it.
How you doing, brother? I got to tell you, man, the eclectic sound of your music actually took me back to many places that I've been before in the past, but
Really?
I couldn't pick I could not put my finger on your sound because you have your own original sound, and that was very cool. But man, you took me back to the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the
Hell
2000s. Yeah. You know what I mean? You have it all. It's really cool, dude. I really like it. Where do you get your inspirations from?
You know, that's a really good question. And first off, thank you. I think that kind of nostalgic feeling, that bittersweet nostalgic feeling that you can't quite can't quite place it. Like, I can't say I've heard that before, but it makes me feel a certain way that I've felt before.
Right.
I think that's definitely one of the goals. So I really appreciate you saying that.
No,
as
true.
far as inspiration goes, I don't know, man. I think it's just the only way I can properly convey how I feel. You know, it's hard for me to put that into words sometimes. And I'm not very skilled at like mechanical or literal things. I've just always been really good at music and really drawn to it, really connect with it. And I don't know, it just kind of takes me to this only place where I feel like home when I'm playing music. And I think that's the best way I can put it, honestly.
You play a lot of different instruments and you sing as well, and you have a fantastic voice, dude.
Yeah.
And I love your style, and it's not you know what I mean? It moves around, so it's not, and I love that. I hate when a project or a band is in a box and they
absolutely
get outside of that box. But you get outside of the box, you move around. You remind me of so many different bands. It almost exploded my head trying to think of how to describe your sound, because I was like, damn, there's so many different influences here, and I'm like, it pulls them off very well.
It's very ethereal too. You have a lot of, you do delays and the reverbs, and you've got this very open sound.
Delay,
yeah.
There's so many classic elements involved as well. You know.
Well, I mean, I started around the age of like 6 on piano, and my first thing I ever learned was Beethoven. And this day I play a lot of classical piano, Beethoven, Chopin. And so there is a lot of different influence when I'm writing. Like, you got that classical music combined with a lot of like rock. A lot of the more contemporary bands I've been with and played have been a lot of like rock, metal.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been into really, like you said, ethereal, ambient type music as well. So trying to just blend all those together, I guess, without being stuck in like a specific box, like you said.
Brother, you did a fantastic job, I gotta say.
You really did.
No,
a lot of bands try to do they try to do the, we get a lot of interviews, and I go through a lot of bios, and the consensus is usually, we're looking for our own sound by pulling the genres of others and molding it into our own. You legitimately are one of the rare ones who have pulled it off. Because like Ralph said, when I first hear it, I think, oh, he's kind of a prog rock. No, that's not prog. What the fuck is that? Like, that's more, oh shit, he's got some heavy shit in you. Like, it just bounces all over the place, but it's cohesive. You managed to keep it cohesive.
I think that's the biggest part is, and the trick too, the hard part too, at least, is trying to put them all in an album that makes sense together.
Yes.
Was definitely took a lot of consideration, a lot of whittling down which songs I wanted to record, which ones I didn't, which ones may need to be like on a different album type thing.
Did you have a lot of material pull from for this album?
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm always writing, like, it doesn't stop with me kind of thing. Like, pretty much always writing. So there's like 20, 30 songs usually I've got floating around in limbo.
Well, I got to ask, bro, I know that, and this is a tedious question because everybody's going to ask you this, but our viewers are going to want to know, who are your top 3 influences when it comes to?
No, I actually really like that question. It says a lot about a person and tells you like what they like to listen to too. Do you want like more so like a specific instrument wise or just overall?
You just tell me which ones have influenced you the most, because I hear so many different influences that I don't even know where to begin. So,
okay, yeah. For the most ones, I'd say a lot of, honestly, Beethoven, tons of classical influence. But more so, there's some Rammstein. Like when I was a kid, some of the first music I was into was like Rammstein, the Mutter album especially. So I really love that just brooding, dark, industrial almost sound.
I could totally hear that.
Yeah.
Motionless in White, big fan of them. I actually got to open them for them in high school.
Nice.
I love a lot of what they do. They're one of like the more contemporary artists, I'd say. And even like The Weeknd, dude, like I love The Weeknd. So I think a lot of different people I try to draw from.
Vocally, who do you think you sound more like than anybody else?
Wow, that's a new one. I think I've gotten a little bit of Jared Leto. He's definitely one of my biggest influences, but I don't have the range he does.
I can hear that, actually. Yeah. That's funny that you said that.
He's huge influence for me. Johnny Craig is a huge like hero of mine vocally, just because he's a phenomenal vocalist, but I don't have a voice like his. I don't know. What do you think? Like, I'd be interested to know what you guys think.
I picked up a Jared Leto feel. Yeah. I did.
Okay, cool.
I really did.
I'm not gonna lie. Your tone, the tone of your voice, the tone color of your voice when you sing. I got what's his name? The lead singer of Opeth.
Filter.
Not Filter. Filter too.
I got a Filter Phil.
Okay, cool.
What's his name?
Cool.
I couldn't tell you.
I can't remember his name.
But yeah, the lead singer of Opeth as well. I wish I could think of his name.
But dude, I love the feel. The classical parts of it sound fantastic. The industrial vibe, the dark wave vibe that you have to it, and the vocals are just right, man. Yeah. You got it all, dude.
It's got a good balance.
You're a one-man band, brother.
Dude, okay, you said you started on piano?
Yes, piano's first love, around the age of 6 or so. I just kind of sat there and taught myself the release over and over again all day, every day.
Nice.
And then guitar, I picked up around the age of like 14. And that's what I went to school for at MI, is guitar. So most of my band experience is there. And then vocally, I always kind of sang, but I didn't really take it seriously until probably about 10 years ago. So that's probably my most recent one. It's like vocals.
When you write a song,
let's get into the Musicians Institute. I'm sorry, Cody.
We'll get to MI. But when you write a song, do you usually write on piano, or does it matter for you?
It's just kind of whatever suits the mood at the time. However the song comes out. I think I typically tend to start with one of 3 foundations. Like it's either a piano foundation, a guitar foundation, or a just hook foundation. So like either I'll come up with the piano part first, which will inspire everything else. I'll come up with the guitar part first, which will inspire everything else. Or I'll have the vocal lyric idea or hook in mind, which will inspire everything else.
Nice.
So it's typically one of those 3.
Wow.
And you mentioned before we started, you moved to Cali to come to MI?
Yes, I did. I was about 18. Didn't know a single person out there, man. It was a great time.
Jealous as shit, dude. I've been a fan of MI for years. I'd considered going there. Yeah. It just was one of those things I didn't go to. But I'm a guitar player too, and we went and did the tour, and I just fell in love with the joint. I wish I'd have gone.
Oh man, I did that tour too. I worked like construction out in the desert, saving up some cash to go. And I tell you what, man, like those are some of the best guitar players in the world that you get to learn from sometimes. Like Steve Vai's guitar player, like I got a few lessons with him, Dave Weiner, you know, and then like Edgar Winter, I think the Edgar Winter guy, his guitar player, I got a few lessons with him. But just, the amount you learn and your peers too. Like some of my peers are doing amazing things in music now that I went to school with, and like they can run circles around me, which is crazy, man. Some of them are just so talented.
And the idea of a place like that where you could just literally just immerse yourself in everything music, it's not just, oh, I'm going to school. I went to a
No.
university as a music major, and that was fine. I got a bachelor's degree in composition, but the idea of being able to go in and go, my assignment is I have to get with other musicians in this school so I can record something. So you're really networking and working with everybody,
Absolutely. And the fact that it's in Hollywood too, man, it's like you also get the whole experience.
Yeah. It's ridiculous, man. I really wish I'd have gone. I'm jealous.
But hey, I'm jealous you have a degree, dude. I didn't actually get to graduate. I got my first tour offer like a week before we graduated, and like I talked to all my teachers, like, yeah, it's cool. Just take the test when you come back. No, something happened that didn't work out, and I never really got to graduate. So I was like, that's cool, man. I got my first tour,
Well, and that's at the end of the day with UMI, like that's the point, isn't it? Is to get out there and get working.
That's the point.
The point is that you guys learned some theory, and that's
oh
important.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
I think it depends too with theory. Like sometimes for me, theory puts me in a box a bit.
Yeah.
I had to spend a couple years actually once I got out of school, kind of like unlearning everything I learned. And it's a weird thing to say, but like I had to kind of remember how to write again without going to like patterns or formulaic organization.
Oh God, you're so right. You're so right. Ralph will remember this. When I joined we and Ralph came together when I joined his band Serpent Underground fucking 10 years ago or something. And I know for a fact it drove them crazy because they would play something and I'd go, that's good, but it isn't exactly how it should go. Why don't we do it this way? And they're looking at it going, look, that might be theory wise, but play with some feel, dude. Like stop worrying about whether it fits in that box. You're absolutely right. And I know it drove them up the fucking wall.
It's a weird phenomenon too. It's like, I can't go to a grocery store without analyzing what modes are happening in the song. It drives me nuts.
Do you have perfect pitch?
What was that?
Do you have perfect pitch?
No.
Okay.
I think I have relative pitch probably. So like usually if you give me a root note, like you say, okay, here's a D, and then tell me any note compared to that D, I can tell you what it is. And sometimes I can tell you, like, I think this is an F sharp minor. I'm not sure, but it kind of feels that way. I get that color, like F sharp minor to me sometimes appears like orange.
Right.
Which is a trait of like absolute and perfect pitch, but I definitely do not have it. I just have like a good ear, basically.
Yeah, I can't remember what that's called when they see color due to notes. That shit's trippy.
That's actually like, I don't know if I'd want that, because
it drives me crazy.
The smallest amount of something being off will drive you nuts. Yeah. Like if someone blows their nose and it's not in the same key as like the wind outside.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, I hate that color.
Exactly, man. It would be really hard.
Yeah. I read something. This is going to kind of divert, but this is something I literally read just before we came in here. And since you spent a lot of time in LA, we damn sure did. Did you ever play the Viper Room?
Oh yeah.
You hear they're getting ready to tear it down.
Dude, I wish I could say I'm surprised, but after they tore down the Key Club, the House of Blues, I think, is gone, right?
Yep.
I was like, some of my last shows were at like House of Blues, Roxy, Key Club before they shut down, and I'm not even surprised, dude. It's really sad.
Yeah.
It's super sad, but it seems to be the trait.
It's bumming me out, man. They said they're turning it into a 12-story multi-use facility. So there's going to be shops and apartments and where the where the Viper Room is. But they rest assured they'll keep the legacy alive. And I'm like, by tearing out the club? What the hell, man?
It's supposed to be a dive bar. It's supposed to be like a dive bar.
Absolutely. Like, and that's what I loved about Sunset. Like, the bars, they were glory, but when you walked in, they're dirty and dingy and dark and stinky and
they're supposed to be.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, that broke my heart when I read that, man. I'm like, don't fuck up the Viper Room, dude.
Yeah.
One of my first shows in LA was at the Viper Room. I remember, being really excited because I was like, oh my God, I've heard of this place.
Yeah, exactly. The legend of it is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the legacy of those historic Hollywood venues is definitely there and will be remembered, I'm sure. But you know how that works with history. A lot of people don't know it anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, yeah, and unless you were part of it, you never really understand the full picture, I think. Like, you know, if you were like, for us, like we've been there, you know, we played shows there, we like, you know, we're there in the scene.
Yeah.
We remember what it was like, but like,
yeah, to people outside, it's just a fucking bar that's getting torn down. What do they care?
Yeah,
I mean, and I get it, but still, it sucks.
There's so much history there.
Yeah.
Though. But I wanted to ask you that as far as arrangement goes, is that something that you struggle with?
I'm kind of crazy about it. I'm like a sociopath about my arrangements, honestly. Like, I wish I had the file on this computer, but I don't. There's like an Excel document I keep of every song I can remember writing, basically. And it's got boxes for every single instrument correlating with a small audio recording on like a voice memo of an example of me performing that part. And then often I'll write out the music as well, especially for something tricky like a guitar solo that's hard to remember years later exactly what you were doing. So I'm crazy about it, man. I'm super OCD with my music writing, at least. So it's incredibly organized typically. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. So no, I don't really struggle with that part. I struggle with knowing when to turn it off. Like, my engineer will be like, no one uses as many tracks as you do. Like, you have like hundreds, you literally have hundreds of tracks on this song. And I'm like, oh, really? I didn't even notice. So the hard part for me is cutting it off, like at a certain point.
So what do you do live wise? I mean, how does that work out?
Well, I would love to have like a full band together. You know, if I had the budget to say like tomorrow I'm just going to hire these people, I know who they'd be. Like a lot of my friends from MI, you know, or who I choose to be in that band. But until I have that budget, I typically have just been doing solo, like me and an acoustic guitar, just singing and guitar. A lot of the songs can be adapted to that pretty well, but I definitely am not happy performing them at that level. I want them to have all the parts going on because there's so much going on.
So you're thinking about hired guns, yeah?
Yeah, I'm too much of a control freak. You know, I did the band thing for so long, and it's really hard for me to give control to other people creatively. And I also don't like when I feel like I'm putting in more work than everyone else. So I just kind of decided at a certain point, I'd just rather do all the work myself, own everything, you know, and then if I can at some point pay people for a live performance.
Well, what do you think about backing tracks live?
I hate them, man. Like, I just don't, it just doesn't feel authentic to me. So I've never really tried to ever use them in previous bands. Sometimes like a keyboard part is tracked, but that's about it. I wouldn't use them, honestly.
What kind of band are you looking like? If you had your dream idea of a band, like how many people would be on that stage with you?
I think it'd be like five. Probably like 2 guitarists. I'd probably do like guitar vocals and then have like another dedicated guitar player, 1 bass player, drummer, and hopefully like a piano player. But I can always, you know, swap between piano and guitar. And you can cover a lot of ground that way live with just piano and guitar, you know?
Yeah.
You don't always need 2 players,
that's
guitar
true. Players
there.
Yeah, because if you had another guitar player that could also play keyboards, you guys could just kind of swap off depending on what's going on. Yeah. That makes sense.
So you mentioned you always throw in extra tracks, and I can totally understand where you're coming from. I think layering is a huge part of the process, but live you like to put on a more natural experience, basically.
Absolutely. Like, I think live I'm more of just like a rock and roll guy at heart. You know, I do a lot of performance where I'm just playing like Beethoven type stuff at hotels and things sometimes. So I have that side, that kind of upscale, gentlemanly, whatever side. But at heart, I really like just, you know, having a sweaty, dirty rock show, you know, with turning my guitar up way too loud, you know. So I'm so guilty of that, man. I internally am just the guy pissing everyone else in the band off by cranking the guitar.
I can't. I have no idea what that feels like.
Oh, he knows what I'm talking about. I can tell already. He knows what I'm talking about.
I've pissed off. I don't know how many sound guys on a stage.
How many times I've yelled at this dude for that shit?
What do you want me to do? The bass player's too loud. I can't hear my shit.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's part of it, man.
Yeah,
I just
drummer.
like to feel it.
No,
Yeah.
just kidding.
Wow. Yeah, sound. I am not a friend of sound guys. Sometimes
No, I'm not.
I've thrown a pie on stage and missed the target.
Oh shit!
I used to kick my bass player off the stage, like literally kick him whenever I could on the stage. Yeah, knocked over amps at the House of Blues. Actually, I knocked over their cab and stuff.
Oh Lord!
I like to jump off things.
Oh, so you like to get rowdy?
Yeah, I like to get rowdy, man. I like to jump off the cab, when the mood is right. But you can't have that without a full band on, unfortunately.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, it comes off as kind of like
crazy. Yeah.
What's his name?
You're sitting there with an acoustic guitar and start jumping off the stage.
Comes off like G.G. Allen or some shit.
Yeah, you need a little support there. There might be someone out there who's good at it. I don't know. I'm not the one who can do it solo though.
Right.
Are you mentioned you're not in Cali anymore? Where are you at right now?
No, right now I'm in downtown Portland. It was kind of like how you said LA is changing so much. I was kind of feeling like it wasn't the place it used to be, and the people didn't seem the same for some reason.
Yeah.
And the way how the Sunset Strip is a great metaphor for how it felt. Like it was less artsy materialism, more just Vegas type materialism, I guess. And so I was like, I'm just gonna try somewhere else.
How's the scene out in Portland?
I haven't had not much luck, honestly. I'm talking with like a Hilton hotel out here right now, trying to get a gig right there. But no, it's been hard to meet people too with the pandemic, obviously.
Yeah, that's why that was going to be my follow up, was that I didn't know how bad COVID hit, because I mean out here they just shut us down completely, and we're still trying to recover from it.
Well, I'll tell you, right before COVID hit, I got this residency at this new wine bar up in northern Washington, like above Seattle, and I was making like $45 an hour plus tips, like really good money. And then the next week COVID hit and the whole bar shut down. And so it really did impact me, but more so a lot of musicians I know, like whose sole job in life is music right now. Yeah.
So I don't know if we covered this, but do you record with a producer, right?
It's me and an engineer.
You're an engineer. Okay.
So I pretty much do all the production myself. He doesn't really give much creative input. I really rely on him for technical input though. He does have some great ideas sometimes, like, maybe that guitar's in the wrong frequency. It's too close to the piano frequency, and so they're getting muddy. Why don't you try maybe moving the guitar part an octave up or something? Things like that he's really good at, but all the creative control is kind of with me.
Do you do a lot of it in the box, or do you actually get on the drums and record all?
Oh, no, I don't do any of the drums.
Okay.
That's the one instrument I don't do on the album, is the drums. So sometimes I'll have the part in my head, but all I can do is do the horrible mouth drums and try to translate it to the drummer. So the engineer, I'm really lucky, is a good drummer, so he'll just lay it down. And he likes the music too, so we're old friends actually. He used to open for one of my bands. So he'll just jump on the kit and he gets into it. He knows what the song wants, the kind of good feel that the song deserves.
Okay. I know. Well, I want to ask you a question that probably is going to irritate some people, but I'd like you to answer
Go for it, man. Yeah.
If you're down. What do you think about the current music scene today and how things are only being streamed?
I love that question, man. Let's see. Best way I can put it is that, to me, it feels like we're valuing mediocrity a bit. what I mean by that is a lot of music you hear that's pushed and played, the majority of it that's pushed and played on radios and stuff, with exceptions, has a lot of formulaic repeated stuff. You can guess what chord's coming. You can guess what's coming. Like, it's like you've heard it before. You know, and I don't listen to the radio really, so I'm a little out of touch with what's current right now. So I don't know, maybe it's gotten better, but I just haven't felt like there's been much soul in music in a while. And I also can't really name the last time there was a real rock star. And maybe there won't be anymore. Maybe that's just the way it's going to be. But I think that the world kind of misses that authentic rock and roll nature.
Yeah, I agree. Because currently in the current climate, it's park everything and make more. You know, create as much as you can.
It's so like money, marketing, image driven.
Yeah. So who would you, under your opinion, who would you say is the last great rock star?
Let's see. You know, the first one that comes to mind is kind of like the Guns N' Roses guys, you know? As far as like huge rock stars. As far as like the most modern, closest thing I could think of would maybe be The Weeknd. Like, but I think he's more pop star if I had to choose, you know? But I don't know, man. Maybe Metallica. But yeah, there's not really that many people. Dimebag Darrell, maybe? I think he was more 90s, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, maybe him.
No, you're right, because I remember even I don't remember, it was a while ago at this point, but even Nikki Sixx made that comment. Like, you know,
really?
Go out there and be larger than life. Go out there and be the person that everybody's wanting to be. And you're right, they're not that. It's fit into this mold, sell this way, we'll do this, and you're on your way and you're good.
Exactly, dude. I interned at this record label for a little bit down in Cali, and it was so soul crushing to me to see, like, it was just number of Facebook likes, number of like all social media driven for each band. And this was like 10, 15 years ago. So I can't even imagine what it's like now.
But isn't that kind of the inevitable evil now? Because I mean, like,
I don't like it personally because I think it ruins some of the mystique between the artist and the fans. Like, you know, maybe in the 60s, like if you didn't know what your favorite musician was eating for breakfast every day.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of gave you this sense of like anticipation and appreciation for when you did get to see them, you know, and it was a more larger than life experience.
Yeah.
There's something to be said for mystery.
You know? Exactly, man. And like knowing everything isn't a good thing, I don't think sometimes.
No, not necessarily.
No,
but I got one last question for you, brother.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned that it's become more about image. I want to go into that for a second. What are your thoughts? Because you obviously have an image. You have some tattoos. You have piercings. Yeah, I've got tattoos. We have facial hair, long hair. You know what I mean? We go into the image. What are your thoughts about that? Do you think that that's a necessary evil? Because we've got bands like Rob Zombie and Static X, and you mentioned Rammstein. Yeah. They're big on the image thing. What are your thoughts? I mean, is it a necessary evil in order to get?
No, people? I don't think it is a necessary evil, and to me, it's not an evil at all. I will put it this way: if you're dressing up a certain way because it helps you get into character, it helps fit what your band's about. You know, like Motley Crue when they first started, I think did like a Mad Max type thing, you know, and generally evolved into their own personal style, you know, and there's so many examples that do that. I think if it's with the intent of making money and marketing, it's not necessarily a bad thing because the band's got to survive somehow,
right?
You know, but when it's to look like someone else, that's where I think the line. Because at that point, you're not being original, you're not being inspired, you're just copying someone else because you're either too afraid to come up with your own or you don't know what your own is.
That's interesting. So what are your thoughts on some of these bands that have been coming out recently that sound and, kind of mimic the look also, but more the sound of some of these bands in the past, like Led Zeppelin and Korn. There are two bands. The Led Zeppelin band. What are they called again, Cody?
Are you talking about like a Greta Van Fleet?
Greta Van
maybe?
Fleet.
Greta Van
Yeah,
Fleet.
yeah,
Yes.
that's them.
Okay.
I kind of like them because they're kind of paying an homage to like a time that's not really around anymore, and they do it in a really good way from what I've heard. It sounds authentic to me, so like I think it's cool.
So you give those guys a pass. You like it?
Well, I don't know. I'm not familiar with a huge amount of their catalog. I think I have 2 of their songs. So I don't know. Yes, the ones I have I like. And that's what it comes down to with me is like if I like the song, like do I like how it makes me feel? You know, at the end of the day, that's the most important part for me.
Right on. What do you think about tribute bands and cover bands?
I mean, you know, if that's what you want to do, sure. Nothing wrong with that. Personally, I've never been in a cover band or tribute band, and I don't think I could. It would just wouldn't feel right to me, I guess. But if someone else gets their kicks or their job out of that, all the power to them.
What do you think about doing covers, even in an original project?
I think they're awesome if you do it tastefully. You know, like yeah, there's some songs like I was toying around with like covering like an Amy Winehouse song, like Back to Black.
Oh, nice.
Or just putting like an interesting spin on like older songs from like the, I don't know, 20s even. But yeah, if it's done tastefully and it's not like something you rely on as a crutch, they're cool. I think they're cool.
I know. Very cool.
Yeah, because like Disturbed was traditionally they always did at least one per album, and they always did it. Well, they did it. They kept it to them. You know, they didn't just
exactly. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think the idea of a cover is to like I think breathe a little new life into a song and do it in like your own way. It's kind of different and helps kind of reinvigorate that original energy that was exciting about it.
I know. So what would you say is your favorite if you had to pick one and only one? What is your favorite genre?
Ooh, man.
That's a fucked up question, Ralph.
If I only got one to eat, like to listen to for the rest of my life, I think I'd go with like post-hardcore metal, probably.
Okay, what is who is post-hardcore? Like, give me some bands so I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, like Emarosa, Of Machines, maybe some Motionless in White. Devil Wears Prada was kind of the first big post-hardcore band I considered post-hardcore and really got into.
Okay.
In my early bands. So yeah, like that kind of like early 2000s Scene Kid, V-neck metal with the skinny jeans. I've got a soft spot for that stuff.
Yeah.
Do you think Motionless in White is comparable to Marilyn Manson on any level?
Yeah. I've read Marilyn Manson's book, and like I mentioned, I actually opened for Motionless in White back in high school once. And so I've met the guys, and Chris was a super nice guy, super cool guy. Yeah, I think there are a lot of similarities you can make, obviously. But I do think they have a lot of differences too.
Right on, definitely.
Nice.
Good band. I like, both.
Yeah, I like both of them. I like both Marilyn Manson and Motionless.
Dude, it's been great talking to you, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on with us. Cody, did you have anything else to ask him?
No, we covered everything I had on my list. Dude, you were a great guest.
Cool.
It was really cool to talk to. Really easy to talk to, which is what I love.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. Well, thank you guys for having me, man. It was good to talk to you, and I really appreciate that you were going places with that aren't exactly comfortable questions sometimes for a lot of people and kind of controversial. But I think that's kind of what is necessary right now. Like, that's what we need.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I agree.
So, well, brother, it was great talking to you. Ladies and gentlemen, please check out Dude, help me out.
Oligarchy Withers.
Oligarchy Withers. It's a weird name, but it's cool at the same time because it stands out. Oligarchy Withers. Check them out. The music is really fucking good.
Yep.
I gotta be honest with you. I was taken back. I was listening to it and I was going, damn, this is some badass shit. You know, so
man, thank you.
No, man, I really liked it. It had so many different influences, but there was nothing you could tie it down to. Not necessarily.
That's one of the coolest things someone's told me about it, honestly, is that, you know, it reminds them of all these, of their favorite, a lot of music they like, but they can't point out which one.
Exactly.
I love that.
That's why I didn't even want to make comparisons. There were a few bands in my head, and I was just like, oh, should I say something? And I'm just like, no, you know what? Because it doesn't sound the same. It's reminiscent, I guess would be the word.
Yes.
I love that.
But you know what I mean? But it was not, you're not stealing somebody's sound.
No.
So, and that's what I loved about it. And dude, I'm a fan now. So, you know.
Well, hey man, if you guys like, I'd love to hear if you just like, if you get a moment and you want to just share like what you thought about certain songs, you know, which one's your favorite. I'd love to hear about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely, brother.
And,
we'll have you back on again.
Yeah.
What's the name of the album that you're putting out right now?
Album is called Until There's Nothing Left to Imagine.
Okay. And it's out now?
Yeah, it's out now. All major streaming sites, Spotify, Apple Music, all that. It's on pretty much all the ones I can think of.
Love it.
Okay.
Love it. And then as we wrap up, where can people find you? Where's the best way to track you down?
Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff.
All the
Pornhub. Until hopefully it's in person somewhere.
Right on. Well, we will have all the links below, brother.
Absolutely.
So everybody check out those links and go check out the music. I'm sure you will appreciate the art that this man is putting together. So until next time, thanks for watching. A lot's happened since yesterday.
Everybody, go support Oligarchy Withers. They're bringing it around, making some great shit happen. You're going to love it. Until next time, take care of each other. Take care of yourselves. Be good humans. Always fucking forward. Peace.